Hi everyone, this is Allan McKay. Welcome to episode 163. I'm speaking with Justin Leduc, who recently put out that viral Golden Gate Bridge video you saw of the big monster, kind of Grim Reaper looking character looking down over all the traffic. That went completely viral, 15 million likes. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Allan McKay podcast. Allan is an Emmy Award-winning visual effects artist and mentor to many leading industry experts. Listen in as Allan talks with other industry leaders in film, video games, and visual effects about their experience, lessons, and methodology. Allan will teach you pivotal advice to fast-track your career, better your skills, and reach your ultimate dream job. Check out the latest episodes on allanmckay.com.
Have you ever sent in your reel wondering why you didn't get the callback? Or what was the reason you didn't get the job? Here's the thing. Most of us think you just put your latest work on your reel to some cool music and send it off, and then you get the job. A lot of us aren't aware that the majority of the reels sent to studios are skipped through and sometimes never even watched in the first place. The fact is, everything we're taught about landing a job as an artist is wrong. Over the past 20 years working for studios like Industrial Light and Magic, Ubisoft, Blur Studio, I built hundreds of teams, hired thousands of artists, and reviewed tens of thousands of reels. That's why I decided to write a book from the perspective of somebody that actually does the hiring. Learn the exact formula to captivate and qualify you as the obvious artist for the job, how to build a reel that ranks high on YouTube and attracts studios to you. The best part is with this book, you can get it right now absolutely free. Whether you're in design, games, TV, or film, go over to allanmckay.com/myreel. Okay, so welcome to a brand new episode. I'm really excited for this one. I wanted to rush it out. I also wanted to do my first ever podcast that's on video, and it's because we actually recorded the interview on video. I thought I'd quickly just hit record and put out an intro, okay? So I've intentionally done the world's worst lighting, deal with it, but I thought it'd be fun just to kind of like knock this out, off the cuff. But that being said, I'm really excited for this episode because I'm speaking with Justin, who recently put out that viral Golden Gate Bridge video you probably saw, which he refers to as like the monster, the one in the red cloak, kind of like a Grim Reaper or a Ring Wraith, whatever it might be, kind of looking down at everything that everyone's seen, and went completely viral overnight. He went from 12,000 followers on Instagram to 550,000 followers, something like that. So 500,000 people overnight. It happened in like 2 weeks, I think, for him to get to that level. Now, I thought that was really interesting, as well as the video itself had something like 15 million views in a couple of weeks. And I think that the story behind it is really interesting just because all it takes is that one piece that could blow up everything and change everything and make your name, your work recognizable worldwide. But at the same time, it's all the work getting to that point that's really critical and very overlooked as well. So I thought it'd be really cool to talk to Justin because this is all so relevant still, but he's had enough time now, I think, to process it. That'll be really interesting to kind of get into how it got made, the experience of it all going viral, as well as afterwards, kind of like now things are starting to settle, as well as just him as an artist and everything it's taken for him to get to where he is. I think that his story is really interesting, and I thought this would just be a lot of fun to get into. And at the same time, to kind of see some of the new work he's got coming out. We also kind of deconstruct his latest piece, which I've held off putting out this video to make sure it's in sync with his latest piece as well. So we get in behind the scenes on how that came to be and the whole concept behind it and everything else. So this is going to be a really cool episode. All I ask is if you like it, then please like it. But in addition, if you can share this with other people, because I really hope that this episode might be one that might inspire a lot of others, and also you might benefit from it as well. So that being said, let's get into this episode. Before I do, if you want to check out the show notes for this episode, which include in-depth notes, as well as all the key takeaways, quotes, everything else, as well as links to everything, go to allanmckay.com/163. And you'll be able to access everything there as well. Finally, I have a brand new visual effects training course I'm putting out very soon, which is going to be a 7-hour high-end visual effects training course, which is spread out over 5 videos. So I'm going to be going through recreating a lot of the visual effects from the movie Venom. And we're going to be working with this as if it was a real feature film. We're going to go through and create all the shots from start to finish, as well as working with live action, everything else. It's going to be really awesome. I've had some really amazing people helping out from different places to kind of collaborate and make this the best, most intense, free crash course ever made. It's going to be really amazing, and you can get this for free by going to allanmckay.com/venom. Okay, so if you go there, you better sign up and get access to all 5 videos, 7 hours of high-end visual effects training, as well as all the models, the assets, the high-res sculpted Venom model, as well as the LiDAR scan of the entire set. Everything that else went with it as well. I shot this all on the Red Epic W 8K, which is film grade camera. So a lot of really cool stuff there. So check it out, allanmckay.com/venom. That being said, let's dive in. Cool, man. Well, again, thanks for taking the time to chat. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Justin, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Justin. I'm 30 years old. I've been doing just digital art for maybe 15 years now. And so a lot of people are wondering exactly, want to put a term on what I do, want to define it. I've gotten so many messages. What do you do? What do you call it? I really call it digital art, right? It's really like a mix of 2D, 3D composites and whatsoever. So I think it's a nice way to define it. But I love what I do. I've been... also, a question I get a lot is what did you study in school? Where did you go? What college did you go to? So quickly, I did 3 years in multimedia. Multimedia was basically it was really just like wrapping every coding, 2D editing, a tiny bit of 3D, like a semester of 3D modeling and a semester of 3D animation. It was in this very old software called Carrara. I don't know if you know about it. My God, that's in the age of like Bryce 3D and such.
Carrara or Carrara?
Carrara. Sorry, I might be saying it wrong.
No, well, I'm Australian, so I'm gonna butcher it.
Gotcha. But this very old software, clunky as hell, trying to be super intuitive, but so intuitive that it was too simple and very limiting at the same time. So anyway, so there was some audio editing. There was so basically everything that had to do with multimedia, basically. Mm-hmm. And then I just got the bug for coding. I developed a huge love and just a lot of love for coding and programming. It made a lot of sense, but I was more going for the front end level where I could take my love of animating stuff in After Effects and translate it to the web, and in a way that you can actually interact with the animation on screen. And I loved that concept so much. Back then, the title of web animator was not a thing at all. It started being a thing when I was starting out, just getting jobs here and there. But I was still kind of a full front-end developer, but that was like giving the tasks a lot of just animating stuff on screen. But I loved my job immensely, and just as a coder, as a programmer, I've done for I'm still a web developer full time to this day. Cool. And I love it. That's what I studied in college, and then I went to university to do a bachelor in interactive medias. So interactive media, quickly, it's just they teach you how to create some physical installations that people can interact with. So you have a projector, you have a Kinect for Microsoft, and you detect people's movements. That's just like the best example I can just come up with. But there are so many applications. We learn processing, we learn Java, and all that good stuff. There was a lot of coding and stuff. And like most people, I guess I loved college a lot more. But college was a lot more technical and just applying our skills. But after my bachelor, I got a job. I basically found a few jobs in web development. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I moved to Toronto 4.5 years ago, I found this amazing company that I could work, that allowed me to work from home on my own hours, and just full time, same project for 4 years, same website, starting from scratch. And I've been doing that ever since, and I love it.
That's great, man. And just to jump around a little bit, but in the very beginning, did you always think that you'd be an artist? Was that something that you were attracted to, or did you even think that was a tangible career that you could pursue?
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. It's kind of when I moved to Toronto, I was looking for a job in programming and web development. And I was looking for a job in web development, but I was basically at the same time, I had a curriculum for web developer, and I had a curriculum for for motion graphics.
Right.
And as soon as I moved to Toronto, I started working on a reel. Well, not really a reel, but it's that kind of video you do to show off your skills, right? I don't know if there's a term for it, but it wasn't really showcasing past work I had done because I had none of it, right? Mm-hmm. So I started working on this really cool animation, and I just was just grinding every day until I got this offer from to my employer. At the age of 15, I basically very quickly I found this software in some store, like electronic store, that allowed basically anyone who bought it to key a green screen. And that basically is what started it all, right? Then I
finally I can fly,
Yeah, right. All that stuff. And I went to some fabric store and I bought myself some really bad green screen, like some wrinkly fabric. Back then only professionals could buy this equipment. I mean, there was no Amazon or YouTube or whatever. It was very early days, 2006, 2000. So. And then I remember being on Creative Cow a lot. And I don't know if many of your listeners remember when Andrew Kramer was a Creative Cow leader. That was even before Video Copilot, and or just when he was getting started. So I was there around that time, and I was like, I had no one to talk about this stuff in real life. I mean, and it's not me bragging right now, is that like it was a very niche, kind of thing on the web, Creative Cow, and that's it. And then I started emailing back and forth with Andrew Kramer, and I was trying to brag about it with my friends, and no one knew what the hell I was talking about. But I had this really immense passion of just this creative passion of wanting to, of course, like any kid, just to recreate whatever he sees on screen in the movies, right? Star Wars. Right. Whatever, so lightsabers were huge back then. There still are, but the effect of wow, I can recreate a lightsaber at home in After Effects, that was a huge deal back then, right? For amateurs like me. So I started seeing Video Copilot grow, more tutorials, and just follow Andrew Kramer very closely. And I guess so. This is when I knew I want to really be in that world and that environment. Then I took a long break. I was from 15 years old to maybe 20. As soon as I turned 20, I started really grinding on web development, coding, and I stopped doing anything related to arts for a long time. Right. And then until I was maybe 26, 27, and then I really got back into it. But I was always doing some photography in the meantime, Photoshop. I've always been in Photoshop since I was 15 or 14. But so that's really when I was 15 and I keyed my first green screen is really when I knew there was a passion there. Yep. And that's when I knew I wanted to be maybe an artist, if I can declare myself as one.
That's great. And two quick questions. One will be around coding. I mean, I'm always fascinated by this because I do personally think that artists kind of are allergic to business and coding a lot of the time. I should say we, but tend to think I don't need the code. I'm a creative, and right. I think that every single artist I ever see who does finally say, well, let me get over this hump and try it. If and when it connects, then it's just it changes their life. Suddenly they realize wow, all these tools that I use every day, I can build my own and I can make them do whatever I want them to do. So what's your opinion on the whole artists being able to code? Do you think that that's something that gives an extension to people's creativity?
Sorry, do you say artist and being a coder at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly feel like every artist should learn how to code, and for the simple reason, and that's something I've been digesting and thinking about for a long time, is that you're a storyteller. If you do UI and you do UX, so user interfaces and user experiences, you're a storyteller within the UI. And for a lot of people, that might be boring, but you really can spice up the UI and the UX. You can spice it up with animations and with fun ways to interact with a user interface. And it really doesn't have to be this boring thing. Of course, if you're working for the government and whatnot, it's going to be very structured and there's very little room for creativity. I get it. But I found this amazing job personally, and I'm very, very grateful for it. That really allowed me to really expand and just like have this complete freedom on really what I want to do in terms of presenting to UI, while still being very structured and very utilitarian. So you can compromise both, but at the same time, yeah, I mean, I think every artist should really learn how to code. I mean, one of the best artists that I've known personally, met this guy in college. He's much better than I am, but he's never really showed any of his talent on Instagram. Really, he's that kind of guy that I guess just need to prove himself. But this guy went completely into coding, took the coding route, and has a deep love for it, and then he ended up basically creating a studio with his friends, and he's doing some animation and coding at the same time. And I mean, right? I guess what a lot of people love about coding is that you really mix technical and art at the same time, and same for 3D. It's so technical and it's very creative at the same time. Coding. In terms, at least for the web, I'm not talking about Java or COBOL or all these C++ languages. I'm talking for the web here, or maybe Flash or any game, JavaScript-based game. A lot of creativity involved in terms of coding. Lots of creativity. Yeah, I guess that's my point.
Right. No, that's cool. I think it's awesome because, again, I'm kind of hoping that for a lot of people it's going to really concrete, like maybe I should try it. Because I think it also, a lot of artists think, well, I'm not good at math, therefore I can't code. And
I'm terrible at maths. I'm terrible. Oh,
yeah, I didn't even go to school. Like I literally, I barely went to school till grade 9, second week in, and I quit.
Gotcha.
So like if I can do it, anyone can do it. Let's just put that out there. But that's great, man. That's really cool.
But what I want people to take away from what I said is it really compromises the technical aspect and the creative aspect, and they're both merged together in such a beautiful storytelling way that I think it really makes things always challenging and fun. Yeah,
that's really cool. And you mentioned before about kind of shifting gears a little bit into more of the technical stuff, and then kind of getting that creative juices kind of rejuvenated. So like. When you did that, like you're doing a lot of photography before that, but like when you kind of switched gears back into 3D or into doing digital art, like what was that like? Was that when you started posting a lot of that on Instagram or?
I've always been posting on the side, like on Reddit or on my Facebook, I was into, when everyone started, like when everyone discovered Instagram, when Instagram really actually blew up, maybe 2013, 2014, people are still trying to figure out what this platform was. And for myself, I was just doing plain photography, street photography. Street photography was huge. I mean, it's still pretty huge, but I feel like the bar has gotten higher. The platform is more mature, but back then I was going back to like simple. I feel like it's weird because, from 15 to 20, I was doing, what I would consider for my level at the time, like complicated stuff in After Effects. I was doing 3D and a tiny, like very basic primitive 3D, but and then it's weird how as soon as I discovered Instagram, this portal for art, I went back to very simple photography because that's the platform felt like this is what it promoted and encouraged. And as the platform got more and more mature, then we started. The platform introduced so much art and so much mature experiences. I'm not talking about cinematic experiences, but I'm talking about something that you won't necessarily scroll down and just won't stop for. You'll actually maybe take a second to look at.
Yeah.
So the transition was kind of awkward for us. So I have a few composites that blew up on Reddit, and please don't stalk me on Reddit. Please don't find my account. Thank you. But so it was kind of awkward, but I feel like, I talked with Instagram recently. Some guy that works for Facebook reached out and he says, he asked me, so why Instagram? Why do you post on Instagram? And my God, like I felt like I was ready for every question he was going to throw at me, but this one took me by surprise. And I was like, because personally, I'm the video compression just frustrates me to no end, right? But I get it, right? I mean, it's not like there's an unlimited amount of server space, even though you're goddamn Facebook, but still. And like, that was a good question because it's always frustrated me. And so, I wish there was, and the fact that it's such a tiny screen, you want to create the epic giant cinematic pieces to scale, but it's this tiny little screen. And again, this is another thing that frustrates me. And well, yeah, so he said, why Instagram? And I'm like, well, because that's where the people are, really. It's because it's the biggest social network right now. And this is where I can really have an audience and get all the benefits that come with it. So, so, I mean, that's why I'm on Instagram. Otherwise, my God, I would love to be on any big social media that's on desktop. I know about ArtStation. I love ArtStation. I don't post my work there yet. But so it really, and also the fact that it really forces me to create content that's specifically for Instagram's resolution that kills me. But you always adapt to the medium. I mean, that's always that's always the case. That's how it is. That's how the game is played. But I don't think I gave him a good answer. I was too soft on him.
I like that. That's really cool. And I noticed even with your photography, like you tend to do a lot more, like obviously a lot of varied work, but then I think you kind of hit that more kind of monochromatic with really strong blood reds in there, and which kind of transitioned into the characters with the capes that kind of follow that color scheme. So I mean, you, is that something you kind of naturally gravitated towards, is kind of following that kind of look and feel? Yeah, absolutely. The whole idea was always to go with that trope of complementary colors of orange, blue. On my case, red and blue, and yeah, I mean, I want the red to pop and the blues to be in the background and just complement the red. I mean, I went with this direction, I guess, a couple of years ago when I really I basically had to learn that, okay, this is a small screen, things need to pop. Red and blue. That's it. It just was. Cool. That's all. It's that simple. I wish I had a more complicated answer, but I mean, that became your signature in a lot of ways too. I mean, I mean, yeah. Look at movie posters, right? When they size them down, they tend to go for blue and orange color palettes because they pop more when they're in their smaller versions. So I mean, right. I'm not inventing anything right now, and it's kind of funny actually. If I can have a humble brag for a sec, back in 2009. I started noticing this trend of these movie posters. That was a different trend. The first trend I discovered was the orange-blue posters, and I basically made a compilation of them in the same image, and I made it into this. I don't know if you remember the stupid FU memes, like you see the raging face at the end, right? Anyway, that was within that comic template, and I posted on Reddit and blew up. And a few big blogs, /films, and some other blogs picked it up and posted my comic. And then the website TV Trope used my comic for the orange teal article on their website. And that's really, I feel like I don't know, maybe, I mean, I'm sure I wasn't the first one to discover this, but maybe I was the first one to put it out and to make it mainstream. Hey guys, look at what they're doing. And everyone caught on. Right. Sorry, oh my God, my Firefox icon is orange blue. And, it's like the whole theme of the comic was like, once you notice it, you just can't stop. You can't stop, yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's so, I mean, I already knew about this tactic that people, Hollywood marketing or agencies were using. So I applied it a bit on my Instagram, but more with darker tones. So red and blue, yeah. That's cool. And then you started to transition into doing CG posts as well. So obviously keeping it with your photography, but also posting 3D work too. So, I mean, what was that like when you started to do that? Was that like a conscious thing that you just decided to start exploring? Yeah. By the way, thanks for asking. Yeah, it's a great question. So I started with Element 3D, right? From Video Copilot, and it's like, it's an amazing tool. Give you residuals at this point. I know, right? I'm going to text them right now. I thought it was an amazing introduction to 3D in a way, because I really was back in the day. I don't know if you remember or if you've ever learned or whatever. Zach's Works and Invigorator. I don't know if this name rings a bell. It was the first 3D plugin for After Effects ever. Right. And that's what I used back in the day. And I actually modeled a watch with Illustrator vectors. And I just extruded
through the plugin in After Effects. And that plugin went away. Like, it was clunky as hell. It was slow. I mean, that was on my mom's machine, but still, it was slow as hell and terrible. And sorry if anyone's listening that worked on this plugin, but yeah, it wasn't that great. And then like, 10 years later, maybe a few more years, Element 3D came out, and my God, the intuitiveness and just it felt so approachable. And so, I started buying like 3D models online, and then basically it's just like put them all together. And there's a few posts on my Instagram that are full Element 3D, just like renders. And this is really what basically helped me feel ready to just take the next jump and just like take the next step and just like learn Cinema 4D. So I have Video Copilot, the tank, for just helping me with this transition, because I think for anyone that is self-taught, is incredibly scary and intimidating. And you might say, well, yeah, there's a lot of tutorials online today. Absolutely. If you have someone holding your hand, it's easy peasy, right? But as soon as you're on your own, oh my God, is it going to hurt? Oh my God, does it sting? So
yeah, I think it's pretty powerful, the fact that it is, like, for me, like I kind of segued out of After Effects very early on, probably 2000 is probably when I stopped using After Effects. So I feel like I missed a lot of that, but like, I do love the idea that you've got After Effects, which is, people can get familiar with, and then start to segue and get introduced into 3D without going all into a different application, a whole different world, a whole different language.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's like a great way to kind of transition into it.
Absolutely. The transition needs to be soft, and someone somewhere's got to hold you by the hand, and in a way for the transition as well. I think that's the best route to go. If nowadays it's very doable. I mean, you look at the amount of tutorials you have online. I mean, people are literally holding your hand through every step of the way. There's a lot to figure out on your own, but my God, back in the day, back when I was learning After Effects, it was dry out there. It was left to professionals, and I was this 15-year-old kid at home that was trying to learn software that it was just beyond me. So, and you learn ways of doing stuff that are wrong, and you keep doing them for so long before you learn the right way of doing them.
That's right.
That costs you time, and the time you lose on this stuff is just, you can't get it back. So, yeah.
That's cool, man. And I guess just touching on the CG stuff for a little bit longer, but like, at the time, like, you're posting pretty consistently. How much time were you putting into these pieces that you're putting on Instagram and Behance or wherever else that you're posting? Like, how often were you doing it, and typically, like, what was your process?
Yeah, it's for some time back in the early this year. I was basically spending maybe 3 weeks on every post. But my God, the difference between an animation and a still, it's starting to blow me away. It's starting to blow me away right now. Just the time. Because I'm always thinking, okay, I'm going to be able to build a still, and then I'm going to animate it. But so oftentimes, the way you want to animate it feels like a cop-out. Feels a bit lazy, and you want more things to be happening. You want something to justify the fact that it's an animation. I see a lot of artists on Instagram doing an animation, but really it's just one object turning on itself. I mean, come on, give me something more to chew on, or make it a still, because a still is going to give you 100% quality. And is that what we all want? I mean, right? Because you got to justify that drop in quality. I guess that's what you got to justify. So excuse me. I'm just going to say.
You're fine.
So I was spending about 3 weeks on every post, and then when I got to the Golden Gate Bridge video, my God, I probably spent a month on this, but a month was like maybe 2 weeks of testing things out. I started with putting this monster on top of a building in Toronto at a busy intersection, and it just didn't end up looking natural, and it didn't end up looking creepy enough. I wasn't getting all that eerie, creepy feeling, and I started thinking about, okay, well, where could I put it that's creepy? Well, big bodies of water are creepy, that fog. And the initial idea of putting my monster,
I'll go to San Francisco. I'll do it there.
Right? No, that idea of like putting that monster and just him looking at the people passing by was already cemented. I just needed to put him somewhere else. So yeah, I just Golden Gate Bridge because whatever. I just people think that it's something of. It has to do with me specifically targeting San Francisco, whatnot. No, absolutely, right? A lot of people give you way too much credit, as always, right? You watch Breaking Bad, every fan theory that I hear about, Jesus Christ, they think fits up with everything on screen. But so...
I'll segue for a second. I'll say that I was at, like, my neighbor works at Autodesk, and we're at dinner last night, and we're talking about James Bond, and I segued into The Rock, and I was talking about Michael Bay's second movie, The Rock, and I was saying that there's like one theory out there, which is totally wrong, but I just loved it, which was that Sean Connery and that was the original 007, because unlike like Doctor Who or something where they kind of just change their face, like 007, they iterate, like when one dies, they take that number and assign it to a new agent. So this theory was that 007, like he got locked up and he went to Alcatraz, the Americans got him. And so in The Rock, that is the original Sean Connery from 007. And it's completely stupid, but in a way...
I've heard of this one. I've heard of it.
That's the thing. I thought, like, now I want to watch The Rock. I'm like, that's 007. Like, I want to believe it just because it would be so cool to be like, yeah, and that's James Bond. And now he's like old as fuck and he's going to escape from Alcatraz again, you know. So,
that's funny. I mean, people just make up facts sometimes just to entertain themselves. So it's all good, but yeah.
But with the Golden Gate, like, so what was the original inspiration? Like, you wanted, like, by the way, it's not a Grim Reaper, right? It's actually like a Ring Wraith or something. I remember when you posted it.
Yeah, it's inspired by the Nazguls. The initial, what I justified this with is the fact that the monster has gauntlets, but he has Sauron's gauntlets. But but he has to look. The cloak is basically, it's this trope of this cloaked character. It doesn't matter who he is. It's just this monster. People want to have name for things. People want to label things so badly that they start calling it the Grim Reaper, but okay. But I mean, it's fine.
Little Red Riding Hood, come on.
Yeah, right? Name it whatever you want, but I'm never going to call it anything. I'm going to call it monster because, as soon as people start calling it the Grim Reaper, then we get into the subject of suicidal bridge, and then how insensitive this piece might be. And let me just say, if I had known that my video was going to be interpreted, seen as this... like suicidal bridge kind of monster waiting for people to kill themselves, I would have probably never posted this, or I would have probably changed the monster. But it did cross my mind while making this piece. It did cross my mind for like 30 seconds. And then I thought, okay, well, who the hell is going to care? My video is going to get it's average like 2,000 views and get 30 comments as always. No one's going to call me out. I don't have enough of an audience to care enough about this stuff. So but then different story. I blew up. Okay.
I think when you get that many people looking at it, like it's impossible not to offend anyone.
It's a vocal minority, right? It's a vocal minority, but when you talk about 15 million people that watch your video, the vocal minority starts feeling like a majority. So yeah.
Well, I'll just say, like, I've got a whole theory. I've actually, like, I talked to Ryan Connolly at Film Riot a lot about this. Like, I don't know why, but we always end up on the subject. It's my fault, but I always do find it fascinating, like, when you get trolls and like weird people messaging you or saying stuff, and it's just like, my whole thing is that it's just more of a ratio. Like, if you have 20 people in a room, one of them is probably going to be batshit crazy. If you have 20 million people in a room, probably 1,000 of them are going to be batshit crazy. So, it's just one of those things, like, you take that online, it's the same numbers. It's just, there's crazy people like they would be in a village. You'd have that one crazy person at the end of the street. Well, they're online as well. So no matter what, you're going to get that kind of stuff, Yeah,
absolutely. And, we gotta, like, because I would say this sometimes to people, like, I used to, many years ago, I used to be in a bad phase in my life, and I used to be miserable, and it definitely reflected in my comments online. And sometimes, so you got to look at those people, and first of all, you got to have this shell, just grow a shell, first of all, and then, but what helps in terms of growing a shell is really understanding where those people might be coming from. Or there's some people, there's a difference, right? There's this gray area of people that are miserable, and it reflects in their comments. And then there's this group of people that are just, they just want to have a voice. They just want to be noticed. And to be noticed in such a huge ocean of people, well, they're going to compensate with just like saying the worst stuff they can think of, only because they really want to be noticed. And, those people, you just got to ignore them. Okay, look, they're going through a bad patch in their life. Okay. But those people are just trying to, so like, you got to be understanding at some point, but that's the thing I don't like, because like people will put someone that gives me constructive criticism, and it's someone that just wants to say the vilest, the most vile thing he can come up with in the same group. And it just bothers me to no end. No, these are two different people. One's trying to help, one's trying to be nice. The other one just wants to be noticed. Just put those people in different groups and respond to the guy that gives you constructive criticism, because he's looking for the best, your best interest, and ignore the other guy. So that's what I think. But and I'm only thinking this way because I've been that guy before and I've learned from it. Yeah.
No, I think it's smart. I mean, I've always noticed, like, if people email me, I always reply politely, and I'm just, because again, like, I always, this wasn't something I planned to talk about, but again, I always find it fascinating. But
sure.
I do find that when people kind of lash out, a lot of the time, like, if I reply, they're like, wow, I didn't think you'd reply. Oh, by the way, I really love your work. And it's just like, well, why did you say all this? If, like, why would you even email someone if you didn't think that they were going to see it or reply? You know what I mean? But I do think that, like, a lot of people, like, when they are being extremely negative, like, I never take it personally. I always think it says so much more about them. And I don't know, there are times, like, that you get ones that are, like, so crazy. You're like, I got to see what's going on in this dude's life, just because.
Absolutely. But it's hard not to take it personally, even though you'll say, I'll be here saying, you have to grow a shell, you have to put those people in the group. I mean, I take it personally. I mean, I'm a freaking human too. I mean, I have feelings, so there you go. I mean, but you kind of have to distance yourself from it. I mean, look, I'll be honest, my Golden Gate Bridge video, I stopped reading comments after maybe I've read like 100. There are like maybe 30, 40,000 comments. I don't know. I stopped reading after 100. And, I just trying to shell myself. I mean, I've seen some other comments on feature accounts and whatnot. But yeah, that's where I stopped, because I just like try to, okay, so I've handled the criticism for the suicidal bridge. I've responded to people that I admire that commented. And that's it. I'm done here. See you in the next post.
I like it. I mean, again, like, when I first saw it, it's kind of funny. Like, I don't want to praise you and be like, dude, that was amazing. But just because.
Please go ahead. Please do. Please.
Dude, that was amazing.
Take your time.
No, it's just really fascinating because, like, I completely understand why it blew up and it's done so well as it has. But at the same time, like, there's not really been many posts that I'm just like flicking through, and it's just, as soon as I saw it, I was just like, fuck yeah, like, this is like, you nailed it. Like, it really just, it's a video, like, as you said, it's Instagram, it's a tiny little freaking video, but for me right away, I was just like, dude, like, this is amazing, like, this is fucking awesome. And naturally, hours later, it's everywhere, and I'm like, duh, like, this
duh, of course.
So it's pretty cool. Like, I think,
thank you very much.
Again, it's well deserved, like, all the recognition you've gotten. And yeah, like, it's just been really cool to kind of see, like, all of that kind of happening in real time. So, like, for you, like, what was your experience like going through that? I mean, again, I think it's pretty surreal going from, I think you're like 12K. I know these are all vanity numbers, but like 12K to like 500 plus K, in like a couple of weeks. Like, what was that whole experience like? And did you expect that in the beginning to even do like a fraction of, notoriety on that piece?
Yeah. Just first thing, just quickly, the night before I posted my video, right, I keep replaying it, I keep replaying it. Okay, looks good, right? So there's a back and forth. Okay, well, I'm test posting it on my alternative account. Like, don't try to follow me there, please, guys. Anyway, so I do my test post there, and the video compression being what it is, I just went back and forth because there was some fog that was on top of the monster, but the compression being what it is, anything that's fog will make everything smudgy, right? So there was like, I kept taking out fog, oh my God, every time it just killed me inside. Anyway, so I finally was like, okay, I'm good. I have this master version. Then I want to send it to some friends. So I record my monitor with my phone, right? Really just quick, like whatever. You don't need the actual version. I'm just going to record.
Like sometimes those versions turn out better when it's with the iPhone.
I know, right? That's
magic filter.
And so I just recorded quickly on my phone, and then but then I totally forget about this, right? So the next morning, I just start writing up my post. I copy paste my caption. Everything was ready. My hashtags. I choose the video. I post it, and oh my God, I posted the video of me recording my screen the night before, and you can see my monitor. You can see my desk. You can see and then I immediately, as always, I get a crap load of likes immediately, right? Yeah. And I'm just like, all right, I'm good. There you go. Just let it do its thing. I just put my phone down. I just start doing something else. And I'm like, I don't know why, for some reason, I'm just like, let me just check up on something. And oh my God, I see the video. It's my screen recording. Oh my God. It had been up for like 3 or 4 minutes. I deleted right away. I reposted. Anyway, guys, no matter how many times you might just rewatch your same video before posting it, just check after you've posted it, right? Just check. just a good lesson here. Anyway, so the whole week was crazy. First of all, couldn't sleep for 2 days. I mean, if I wake up and I look at my phone, I can't go back to sleep. Like I get that adrenaline. I get those endorphins just rushing.
Yeah, I sleep with airplane mode on just to.
I know, right? All those notifications were insane. Every day I was like disabling one more notification after the next day. Like, okay, no more comments, no more notification for this, and private messages. But I was reading every single private messages I was getting, but it was a huge rush. And the amount of offers I was getting as well. Some really big names that messaged me. There's one big name that messaged me that I'm creating a video for right now, currently. Cool. Really excited about it, really stoked about it. There's another huge name that reached out, and it just didn't end up working out. Really unprofessional, but it surprised me because sometimes you expect the big names to be more organized.
I'll just segue for a second.
You expect, right?
Well, it's funny because we were talking about this recently. Like, when you start working with celebrities, because again, like Instagram, like you get like a lot of celebrities like talking back and forth, and my fiance has been like dealing with a lot of them recently, and it's just kind of funny because it's just like this kind of underlying thing of the more famous you are, the kind of more you expect and the less you're willing to pay kind of thing. So it's like, hey, or whatever, like good luck.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the people I'm creating a video for were super nice and professional, but the other one, not so much. I've received a crap load of offers. But I'm telling you right now, though, as of October 15th, 2018, I have made $0 out of my video. $0. Right. And, that was my call. That's on me, right? So I decided to keep my day job and just like keep doing what I do and what I love. And ideally, hopefully, I can find a bit of financial support from Patreon, which I plan on launching soon. So the whole week was great. So I was really much in my bubble all week, right? So my girlfriend was the one leaving the apartment, and her coworkers were like so pumped, and they all knew about my video. They all, they were all super excited about it, and it was really cool, kind of having this second hand like experience from her. But and then people were telling me like, oh, I was on the bus today, and some guy in front of me like was watching your video. And I was like, oh, freaking! I wish I could have experienced this firsthand. But yeah. And then there came the moment of like after like the whole week had passed, maybe like 5-6 days after I blew up, I was just going downstairs in my building to just take the trash out. this idea in my head of like, am I going to get recognized? Am I going to, no, trust me. No. I've yet to be recognized in public, and that's all fine. I just didn't know what to expect, right? You kind of like, you just don't know what's going to happen. But all these kind of scenarios played out in my head, but turns out it was just for my own entertainment. But I mean, it's all good, right? Maybe someday. Sometimes I get some looks. I'm like wondering, because I'm pretty or because they know me from Instagram. But it's probably one or the other. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, it was a really big rush all week, and it was insane. I mean, like it's kind of funny because sometimes the people that you've been trying to get a hold of, you've messaged in the past, and they only reply to you when soon as you get some traction going on, and it's so awkward also to have more followers than my idols and the people I look up to that are creators on Instagram. Like,
that's pretty much going to be everyone right now. So yeah,
right, no, right. So like, all awkward. I was like, this guy, I've been looking up to him, but at the end of the day, I know followers is just a number. These guys have more opportunities, better networking. I know, but at the same time, the number of followers represents something. It represents power. Let's be honest here. On Instagram, it's really influencers. It's all about the number of followers you have. I don't personally attach much meaning to it, but it's how it is on Instagram. It's the culture. It's Instagram.
Well, I'll jump into that too. I mean, because like I remember having a few discussions with friends of mine about like vanity numbers today, and like because it's kind of like you can easily get caught into that. And just before we started the call, I was saying how with Instagram, I've only kind of started using it about 3 months ago, and before that, I had an account, but it was basically where I'd post pictures of my beard, when I'm out with friends. Like, but it was my fiance was getting into it, and I'm like, like she was on it all the time, and we would have conversations where it's like, oh, this client contacted me, he's got 1 million followers, like, oh my God, I'm going to work with this person, and then it's like, oh, this other person contacted me, but he's only got 5K, and it's just like hearing exactly that, and again, like it's just she's doing it from a pure perspective, but for me, kind of externally hearing it all, I'm just like, oh, like I hate the internet, I hate you freaking millennials, I hate everything. But then like I maybe kind of want to just be a dick and get on Instagram and mess around with it just to see what it's about. And I thought maybe if I get more followers than her, I can piss her off. Mission accomplished. So
it's so funny because I still remember the days when I was competing with my girlfriend in terms of followers. Oh boy! Oh, I bet she misses those days. No, I'm just kidding.
But well, that's the thing too. Is I was hanging out with a friend of mine in Europe, and his wife just started hers, and she had like 1,700 followers, and he has 1 million. So he's like, she's getting all annoyed, like, oh, I've only got this many. But both of us were like, 1,700, like you just started, like you're doing great, like it's not a bad thing. But that's like the interesting thing is like as much as you can say, these are just numbers. When you're looking at it from a business perspective, this is you've got like a list of people that you can put something in front of. And, again, like if you want to sell something, if you want to help people, if you want to have a message you want to put out to people, this is like very, impactful. So I think in a lot of ways, it just depends on how you're measuring it. Like whether it's like, great, this defines me, or this is a weapon that I can actually use to kind of make change. I can help people. I can put out information. I can inspire people. I can do whatever. I can put out my artwork. I can, if I'm going to a new city, I can mention them in town and everyone wants to hang out. Like whatever it might be, like there is huge benefits to having.
You're sitting on a gold mine. You're literally sitting on a gold mine, a huge opportunities. Absolutely. Spider-Man 2, with great power comes great responsibility, dude. That's what it is. That was something that I was going to follow from the moment I just got a crap load of followers. I got to be responsible, got to be mature about this. I'm so glad I got, in quotes, internet famous at this age. I feel like I would have handled it a lot worse maybe 10 years ago. I would have tried to be more, get more validation, try hard, try too hard,
get your stacks of cash from the bank for the day.
Exactly. Try to let this affect my life a bit too much. But right now I'm at a point in my life where thankfully, gratefully, I'm comfortable, I'm stable, and I'm settled. And this is, I almost perceive this as just something that's on my phone and that doesn't really step into my reality. But it will, and I welcome it. But it will, but at my own pace and on my own terms. Back then, it would have probably been too overwhelming for me to control. That's what I'm trying to say. So, I'm just glad it happened right now. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that it happens right now because I've been grinding on my skills for so long. My skills have also gotten so much better. So, everything aligns, when you think about it, things make sense.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. Because, again, this is something that we talked about offline, but, I think is really cool because, I've mentioned you in, a webinar or two, just, there's this guy on Instagram who like went from this to this like overnight.
You mentioned me in a webinar. That's so cool. Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, I made it.
I'll send you some residuals. So,
thank you.
But no, like, I think that in a lot of ways, like it's a double-edged sword. Like, all it takes is that one post, and your whole life can change. And you're right. Like, it doesn't mean that a Lamborghini and everything's just going to land in your house, but it does mean that you've now got the spotlight on you, and from here you can leverage that. So in a lot of ways, like this, that one post that's all it takes for everything to change.
Yeah.
But the flip side is that you can look at that and say, hey, all it takes is that one post. They're going to make that one post, but you're forgetting all the back end work that you've done, like every single day. Like if you look at your post, they're fucking awesome. Like you got amazing work on there, but not only that, but it's consistent. Like every couple of weeks, you've just been doing that for years. So it's all the work that it took to get to this point of doing that, of showing up. So
100%, absolutely. Oh yeah, if I can just expand on that. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people will be like, I want to see your mistakes. I want to see you fail. I want to see you evolve from that. I mean, I'm all about this, but really, why can't I just fail privately and show my best work? I mean, this is something I'm going to be looking at in 20 years, and hopefully I'm very proud of everything I see. I mean, wherever it is, might not be Instagram, it might just be the concept of a portfolio is something I want to look back on and be proud of how I've evolved and how I've always made sure to really post my best work. I don't need to show my failures. These are things I've scrapped, right? So, so yeah. And, okay. So the reason why I did this Golden Gate Bridge video is because I almost want to manufacture viral. There's a part of me, maybe unconsciously, maybe not so consciously, but unconsciously is like, the part that's conscious is that a month before I posted the Golden Gate Bridge, I told my girlfriend, well, wouldn't it be great if I made something viral? I want to make some, because I was seeing these posts on Instagram that were just complete viral. Maybe not as viral as my Golden Gate Bridge video, but sorry, what?
I said, way to one up everyone.
I know, right? Thank you. And so I was seeing these posts, and I was like, these guys have just gotten like 10,000 more followers, and this video is everywhere. And I'm talking about CG videos right now.
Right.
And there was this video of an iPhone laying on the table, and the inside of the iPhone was a pool, and the apps were floating. Right. That video was everywhere. The guy had nothing to show for on his feed, and that's the thing. Like, I always create and post with the mentality of, if this post is my big break, then everyone's going to see what I've done previously, and it's all gonna amount to something that I'm proud of and that people are gonna want to follow. But for years, I've always created with this mentality, but I've never had my big break, right, until now. So if you work with this mentality and then you get your big break, well, of course you're gonna actually get a crap load of followers, because you've always been working with the mentality of putting out your best work. So it makes sense. And I still see a bunch of CG renders right now still going viral. The creators barely get any videos because, well, they're just posting R&D or tests on their Instagram accounts, and that's all good. I mean, that's all fine, right? They see Instagram as their testing kind of platform, and then they post their real work on ArtStation. So, and then they're popular on ArtStation. So, whatever platform you prioritize, is going to work best for you. But I mean, I'm basically taking Instagram as serious business. So so there you go.
Well, that's a good point too, because I mean, I did a talk in Paris this year. I think I don't even remember anymore. I think it was this year, and it was on branding. And I explained to everyone like there's going to be three types of people as I go through this. There's going to be the people who are going to be like, holy crap, I need to do this. Like, branding, I'm an artist. This makes sense. Like, I could be the best artist in the world. If no one knows who I am, then how am I going to get work? But then there's going to be some people who are like, like branding, whatever. I'll let my work speak for itself. And then there's going to be the other people who are like scared shitless of the concept of putting their work out there, and I think the last two are kind of in the same bucket. It's not necessarily that it's not for you. It's more the fear of like, well, if I put my work out there, then it gets judged, or whatever it might be. But the people who leverage it, the people who are like, you know what, like, this is a business, and I am a business, and therefore if I were to go out there and set up a cake store on the corner here, I'd probably want to put my name in the phone book. I'd probably want to put myself on Google. I'd probably want people to know that my store exists. But I think that all of us are a little bit afraid of like having that awareness of like, you know, people knowing who you are. So it's easier to downplay it. And then
why do you think people are scared of having that awareness? You think there's a specific reason?
I think that it's a mixture. It can be fear of failure is a huge one, but then there's fear of success. Like a lot of people actually are genuinely afraid of being successful because there's pressure and responsibility that comes with it. Like if they make it, instead of talking about how they're going to make it, then they make it. They're like, fuck, well, now like if I fail, it's going to be 10 times worse. Or now like this, you know, this is real time. Like, you know, there's a lot more weight on your shoulders. But talking about the fantasy of like, yeah, I'm going to do that one day, and talking shit about everyone else, or however it works out, that it's a lot easier to fantasize about it than to actually
way easier
to do it. So I like that you and you know, like you at least can understand that, like, you know, this is something that you're doing your art, you're passionate about your art, but you're still going to take it seriously, because you're not going to say, well, whatever, you know, I could do that, but I'm not going to put in the effort, or it's just a fluke, going to downplay it. It's like, no, like, this is my work and this is everything. And I realize I got to put in the time and the effort, and I got to be smart and strategic. And that's how we all should be. But then if you are, then like, what if something doesn't succeed? Then clearly if you put in effort and it doesn't work out, then that's seen as a failure. So therefore it's easier not to try, or to
it's definitely much easier. Absolutely. The weight on my shoulders for this next post has been getting, I've let it get it to me. That's the thing.
When I just realized I've got Atlas right here. It's like the weight of the world on his shoulders right there.
There you go. That's what it feels like. Absolutely. I mean, like, people were messaging me like, hey, do you feel pressure for your next post? And I was like,
no.
because I was saying like, not really, because I feel like it wasn't digested yet. And I hadn't like digested the tension on me yet. And I was like, no, I'm just going to keep doing what I do. And that's true. That's very true. But maybe not for my next post. Maybe not for what people expect in a month, you know? I need to like have people settle on my account and cement them there, and you know, hopefully keep them there. But I'm not too worried. I mean, like, you know, I've always had this bar for quality, and I'm going to stick to it. And I'm going to evolve from that bar and just keep getting, and just going to keep getting higher. But that's the thing also. With my monster Golden Gate Bridge, that I definitely put the bar much higher. And it was not true its execution. It was true its maybe idea and concept. Because on a technical level, my video was nothing was that complicated about it. There was no big challenge. I mean, there were a few challenges, nothing too crazy complicated. So it really raised the bar, but maybe in terms of world building, storytelling, and ideas and concepts. It's really where it raised the bar. Yeah.
That's cool. And I mean, you mentioned this again offline, but like, you know, having 2 months to kind of digest your whole experience with it. I mean, what do you, now that you can kind of step away instead of being in the trenches, like, how do you feel about it all? And like, what maybe kind of lessons have you learned from experience?
Nothing. I've learned nothing. No, but it's kind of weird to digest because, yeah, sorry to cut you off, but like, sorry, I just like, I feel like I'm more, man, that's really hard to describe though, really. When I said I learned nothing, maybe I wasn't joking after all, because it's like, well, I've learned the process. So I've learned to take in all the attention on me. And really, I feel like I'm just doing what I used to do. I mean, it's kind of weird because here's the thing I've been telling people. I've been telling people like, well, for so long, you create your best work, and there's that gut feeling inside of you. There's that feeling inside of you that feels like, well, of course I'm gonna have my big break one day. Of course, you just don't know how big it's gonna be, though. But you feel like you're gonna have a big break, and that's that feeling that keeps you going. But a lot of people have that feeling inside of them, and they never get their big break, and that sucks. There's a bit of an element of luck and such, but really, I've always had that feeling inside of me. So once it happened, there's a tiny part of your brain that goes, well, there it is. There you go. Oh, there you go. All right, moving on to my next post.
Tick that off.
Yeah, exactly. So you feel like your expectations have been growing towards expecting that, yeah. So, but the only thing that changed really is it's a weight on my shoulders, and but really, I mean, I'm talking as someone who hasn't posted its upcoming post yet. So it's going to be a learning process. It's a learning process still going on. But I just, yeah, I love how I can inspire so many people. Isn't that great? What I learned also is that the power of inspiring people to also have their big break. Really just like, hey, if you've been working really hard, all it takes, if only if you have been working really hard, and then you post something that's really just high level, yeah, you will get your big break, and much deserved to you. There's, it just blew my mind. It made me actually realize the scope of Instagram, how many people there are on Instagram. It really blew my mind. It's like, wow, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of engagement, and it's all there, and talk about the algorithm as much as you want, but it's all there just waiting to have their eyeballs on your work, and and just keep grinding.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And I guess just to
and sorry, I just want to add something. I just want to add something. It taught me the most important lesson. It taught me to always work on things that scare me, because here's the thing. I mean, we all know this, right? I'm not saying anything new right now. The amount of people that get famous and then their audience put them in a bubble, and then like, hey, you did this, I love it, please create more of this, you're good at this, and I'm gonna like every post you do that looks like this, please keep doing this. And you see so many people keep doing the same thing, and it gets so redundant, it gets so boring, and then they never, that's the day they change anything, is the day they think they're gonna fail. They're not going to fail. Their audience is still going to be there. There's going to be a transition period, but it's still going to be there. So my next post, I mean, it's definitely a huge risk because it doesn't match the tone of my feed so far, but I don't mind. I'm going to go back to that tone after. It's fine. I'm just playing with stuff that's scaring me. And it's really the act of being scared that it's the only thing that keeps me evolving and learning new skills. It's the only thing. I mean, I've said this. I've said this in the past. It's really the act of, what was I going to say? Of basically being scared that if I do something and I know exactly how I'm going to do it, I'm not going to do it. That's just boring to me. I need to be technically challenged. And it sounds like such a brag, but I think all of us work a bit like this. But I really like the feeling of really, like, here, I'm going to prove myself. You think I can't do this, but guess what? I can, to a certain level, That's great, so that was the most important lesson, is like, keep doing things that scare you, and hopefully it works out, or you're going to be working for 2 months on something that you end up scrapping, and it's going to kill you, and you're going to go into depression, and you're going to cry in your sleep, but you're going to start over and work on something great.
I think that's amazing advice, because I always say you got to get out of your comfort zone, and I honestly feel like that's where real growth happens, is like when you're doing shit that does scare the crap out of you, because it's easy for us to say, well, I'm going to keep doing what is working, or I'm going to keep at my, let's say, doing IT or whatever my job is, instead of going after my passion, because, as we said before, I fear failure or fear success.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the episode. I want to thank Justin again for taking the time to chat. I think this was a lot of fun to dive into this, and I hope that you find this motivating and inspiring, thinking like, well, what is the piece that I'm going to do that may blow up? But more importantly, the story behind that you got to stay consistent. It isn't about chasing those shiny things, and as soon as you get any resistance, you don't get the results that you want, to give up. Instead, stick with it. It's about showing up every single day. That all builds up to that final overnight success. So I hope you got a lot from this. And again, if you can take a moment to both leave a comment, I'm going to make sure that myself and hopefully Justin can both answer a lot of comments that come in. And if you enjoy this, maybe we can do more of these. But in addition, if you can subscribe to my channel, that'd be amazing, and I'd appreciate you forever. And more importantly too, if you can share this with others, because I want this to benefit everyone else as well. Finally, if you want to check out the show notes to this, go to allanmckay.com/163, and in addition, I've got the free high-end visual effects training course I'm putting out right now, which is only available for this month. So if you go to allanmckay.com/venom, you'll be able to get access to it there as well. So that being said, I'll be back next episode. Until then, rock on.